Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so mark down your calendars. October 3rd, that is the first preseason game for the Los Angeles Lakers. We're going to be playing against the Sacramento Kings. Now, all that I've been hearing about this morning has been more rumors about us engaging in conversations with the Utah Jazz. From what I understand, the Utah Jazz are the ones initiating this particular conversation, although I think that that's kind of like conversations are ongoing at all times. So that's a better depiction of what I think is going on. But the way it's being reported, the Utah Jazz are trying to reach out and trying to see if we want to take Conley and Beasley, I believe it was, or some combination of players that they have for picks. And so that's the latest rumor. They're trying to continue or rekindle the negotiations that have been ongoing throughout the summer. So my thing with the Utah Jazz is I don't see a whole lot there that I'm excited about, other than Jordan Clarkson and Jared Vanderbilt. Those are the pieces that I really like. Malik Beasley is an excellent piece as well for shooting, but he's had some issues off the court that I don't really know where he's at with those. I didn't do my homework, so I'm not certain. I don't know where he's at. So if he's a go, he's definitely a player I'd like to bring in as well. So those are the three pieces on the Utah Jazz that I would be willing to bring in. Problem is, those combination of those three players are not worth 2 picks for me. Absolutely not. Especially when I know what picks mean to the Jazz. Absolutely not. See, as I start to evolve my opinion about how trades are supposed to go and what value is supposed to be placed at, not everything is priced the same for every trade partner. I know that sounds strange, but as I think about it, the more I consider that, the more it makes sense. Why? Because the Utah Jazz desire to have first round picks is different than, say, the Brooklyn Nets desire to have a first round pick. So I'm going to play against that in negotiations. It's not going to cost Brooklyn the same amount to take a pick off me as it is Utah, because Utah really, really needs picks. See, and that's one of those situations that kind of affects how I'm looking at the situation. I understand the Utah Jazz really, really want Victor Wembanyama more than pretty much anything in the world. And giving them picks is just doubling down on their opportunities to make that happen for themselves. So while he's pricing everything sky high to assure himself picks, which is Danny Ainge, who I'm referring to, the people who are negotiating against him have to understand that what I just described is in place. So when you overpay for anything that Danny Ainge is selling, you are really essentially doubling down on the price tag against you, more or less, based on that dynamic. So there's just a lot of things that I consider when I look at that situation, and it brings me to the conclusion that I don't really want some of the pieces that have been described, and I've said that in different videos, but some of the different trade scenarios that have been described involving the Utah Jazz just don't cut it for me in regards to having 2 picks involved. Now, if they want to take 1 pick, depending on what it is that we're giving up, I might be willing to negotiate. But anything involving 2 picks in the Utah Jazz, it's going to have to involve a third team, so that I can get more out of the situation to feel good about letting go of those 2 picks. Now, you all know what it is that I personally think the Lakers need to be holding out for. And if you're wondering if my opinion has changed or if there's anything that I've seen that would make me think otherwise, nope. Nothing. Nothing has happened. Brooklyn is going back to their drawing board. The Lakers are going back to their drawing board with their respective pieces. They're going to start the season. That's what I thought would happen. But my eye is still on them in regards to those picks and pieces. Westbrook's contract, those 2 picks. I still have my eyes on Kyrie Irving to this very second, because I understand the dynamic there is still very much in limbo. Now these teams are starting to think of starting to come back to the drawing board, but starting to start the season. Training camp is going to start beginning, and because of it, pundits are starting to imagine what is approaching with each and every one of these teams, and particularly the Brooklyn Nets. The one thing that they're saying is, okay, now that everyone's agreed to go back to play for Brooklyn, what's the locker room looking like? How is the dynamic between Steve Nash and Kevin Durant now that this has happened this summer? Are guys in a position to have the tough conversations to get back into a position to be a to believe in one another through ups and downs and all these different things. What's up with Steve Nash? It's very clear that there's a lot of doubt there. Is he going to be looking over his shoulder to get fired anytime they go on a 2 or 3 game losing streak throughout this season? These are things that pundits are starting to imagine and think about and put out there. And even though it's like, okay, everybody over the last several weeks has been in a space where everything's fine because everybody's going back to Brooklyn, KD rescinded his trade demand, okay. But what happens when everybody gets back to Brooklyn after all that happens? They're just supposed to forget all that happened and just run and everything's going to be fine? Okay, let's just say everybody's able to do that. When they hit hard times, are they going to still stay as committed? Are they going to be devoted to one another as necessary to win the championship throughout the season with all this dynamic? Those of us who are looking at it and are thinking and applying the logic that we would apply to other situations are not saying, yes, we're expecting that to be a successful situation. No. If you're looking at it like you objectively, it doesn't show you a whole lot of evidence of great success. Yes, do they have great players? Yes, but they also have great unstableness, great uncertainty with the health of the players and things of that nature. So it's just like, all right, as I continue to understand all of this and explain it to you guys in various videos, I tell us to stay focused on what it is that ultimately will make us a good enough team to be a champion. And unless you've come up with a scenario that can get us a different piece that's even better than that of Kyrie Irving, then we need to keep our eyes on that piece because it's still in play. Why? There are several reasons why, including the ones I've already said, but I think none more than the understanding that he has to be paid. He's a free agent. And so the Brooklyn Nets can either hold on to him and let him expire at $36 million at the end of the season, or pay him, as to which we've discussed at length, will be a bit of a... It could be interesting in negotiations. And not only that, but we got to wonder what Joe Tsai, the owner, ultimately thinks of the situation at hand. Does he want to pay Kyrie Irving? What does he think of Kyrie Irving's rebellion, wherever? All those different various things that come into play. So just because everybody agreed to go back does not mean everybody agrees to stay. It doesn't mean everybody's going to be believing in what it is that they're doing, etc. And as a Laker fan, I just want us to hold our picks because that dynamic exists, and we know it. And LeBron James is our player, and he wants that player, and we know that. So we can kick the can with the Utah Jazz, maybe even do a deal with them, but nothing that'll allow us to lose the value necessary to trade for Kyrie Irving. And that's what I think the NBA, the Lakers front office is considering. Now, I also think that it's very possible they're holding on to their 2 picks to see what else happens beyond Kyrie Irving, as I've already said, other opportunities that may even be better, right? I think they're holding their picks for any opportunity. But I think the rumors and all the different conversations about trades are just there to keep us in the mix with people who need to see us being active to get our team better. You know what I mean? It's like we're not just sitting back doing nothing. We're still negotiating. We're still talking. We're still doing this, that, and the third. But as I told you guys several months ago, or rather several weeks ago, we would kick the can on deals, but nothing would get done. Why? Just said it. Because we're trying to hold out for our best deal. And we know that that's not what's in front of us right now. Now, if the Utah Jazz ups and lets us get some over a deal that just completely leans in our favor, then of course they're going to pull the trigger on that. Some crazy nonsense that looks something like what they got from the Timberwolves for Rudy Gobert. Of course the Lakers would do a deal like that. But as far as some of the deals that are being rumored, some of the stuff that I'm hearing about, I'd be very surprised to see it happen. Very, very surprised. No. And another thing is, I just think it gets to a point where now I don't think it's really necessary to talk about the Utah Jazz and the negotiations until there's something concrete taking place. Now, I come to you guys bringing this to you because I know it's being spoken about around me. But just in general, I wouldn't particularly bring this back up necessarily. Because at the end of the day, the pieces that they're selling us aren't super desirable. They want us to take Mike Conley. We've talked about that. They want us to take Bogdanovich at $19 million for 1 year. Nah, I don't want that. They want us to take JC. Okay, I'll take JC, but not for a first rounder. They want us to take Beasley. Same thing. You know, Vanderbilt's a player that they don't want to let go of. That's the guy we want. Like, it's so Utah is like, all right, man. We know you're one of the teams that have the cap space. We know you're one of the teams that can take Russell Westbrook. That's why we continue to kick the can on your assets. But those are not desirables. We're not trying to give up our war chest for that. And that's not real, man. And I think everybody on the phone there knows that. I think everybody's aware of that. I think they're just doing their due diligence. I think the Utah Jazz are ultimately going to make a deal to get some of those pieces gone to places that we're not even considering, like Toronto or something. They're probably going to end up sending Beasley somewhere like that, sending Clarkson somewhere like that. Because this Lakers stuff is just smoke and mirrors. They're just staying connected to one another, I believe, so that everybody around them could stay believing that they're engaged in trade. You know, that's like a leverage thing, sort of. It's putting on a face, so to speak. Like, we're talking. You see us? Yes, the Jazz and the Lakers. We're talking. Look at us. We're talking. We're gonna do something. See, this is us holding our. I got my 2 picks in my hand. Yeah, and I got the. See us. See, and in hopes that everybody who's watching them, who's seeing them negotiate, will probably jump in and try to overpay for something. What do you mean? So the Lakers gonna get Beasley, right? Now we gotta stop that. How about I bid for Beasley? Maybe I'll give you a little more than the Lakers did. That's what they're hoping is happening, right? Get everybody thinking about their pieces. If they even slightly want Clarkson, unless Boston really wants Clarkson. Just for example, I've never heard anything like that. But let's just say they do. Okay. They're going to hear that the Lakers are involved in getting closer to a deal for Clarkson. No, we can't let that happen. Let's throw in something. Maybe we weren't considering throwing in this piece. Let's be willing to throw in this piece now instead. Like, that's what they're hoping shakes a loose. So, yeah, man. These are the tactics used, man. These are the tactics used to try to just open up the market and get things done. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see a team do something today or this weekend because of the presence of the Lakers and the Utah Jazz talking. That's what it does. It creates opportunities for people to get involved, you know? So that's the market. That's what we're looking at in the NBA. Hopefully, as training camp approaches, we can start seeing more and more progress from various players and various teams. I'm going in kind of blind this year because I didn't do any of the studying that I did last year, so I'm not going to assume I know the field like I did last season. I just don't know it yet, but I was waiting for trades to get made that never got done, man, just like the rest of the NBA. So studying some of these teams just seemed pointless to me, but now I realize we just got a bunch of teams that are going to be built mid-season, which is really going to make for a strange playoffs, if you ask me. It's going to make for a very strange playoffs. I don't think there's ever been a dynamic like this, not in recent memory, where teams are literally intent on being built during the season. Yeah, that's a real thing this year. Pieces that should have been, deals that should have been made in the offseason to help mold the vision of the team are going to be made during the season. So you're going to have situations where there's going to be a learning curve for new pieces. For the teams that make these trades, and that's inevitably going to shake up whatever's taking place during the regular season. It will affect seeding. It will affect the play-in tournament. Heck, it might even affect individual player accolades and things of that nature. We're in for a weird season. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The sheer presence of all of this makes for some bizarre games. You may see some triple overtimes. You may see some 60-point wins. Trust me, this is what happens when you have incomplete basketball teams and then the need to make trades. And here's the problem with that. Because you have to do this while the pieces are moving around, meaning while players are active, because you're going to do this, during that time, some of the pieces that you would otherwise be able to get, because it's the off season and you have things priced at a set price because nobody's running around, it's going to be harder to find the identity of the teams that are looking to create themselves mid-season. It's going to be hard to do that because some of them trades that get that piece that you have in mind, you ain't going to be able to get that piece. You're not going to be able to get it. He's going to be too expensive because he's going to be playing well. As to where in the offseason, that guy is that price. We got him because we know what he can do, this, that, and the third. During the season, let a week go by. he was worth a second round pick. This week, he's worth a second round pick and a player. Next week, he's worth nothing. The week after that, you see what I'm saying? And so the longer you wait on certain deals, various pieces fluctuate in price, and it makes it difficult to make a deal that makes you have the complete vision that you ultimately want. All of this is theoretical, of course, but it can translate to your team looking wacky, to the opposite of that. Maybe you're lucking out on a super value trade because of it. Some guy has a bad week or something, you get him for less than what he's worth. He comes to your team, plays amazing. That type of thing is going to happen. That's going to happen. So like the dynamic that this off season's how do you call it, locked market did to the overall landscape of this upcoming season, and maybe even trickle into some other seasons in the future, is foreseeable. You can kind of see it. It's just, you can see how it all connects. So yeah, wackiness ahead, y'all. It's gonna be fun though, I can tell you that. It's gonna be very fun. Shout out to Steph Curry. I hear he's close to getting a big time deal done with Under Armour. Just popped up in my head, so I just wanted to give him a shout out, man. A lot of people are saying the number on the deal. I don't want to speak that into existence until the deal is done. Bad juju. I'm from LA. I remember when that Dr. Dre situation happened. I'm gonna be a billionaire. Too soon. Deals like that, when it's that high in the number, in my heart, I feel like we just gotta wait till it's signed before we start proclaiming stuff. That Dr. Dre thing really changed my mindset on that. So we don't count our eggs until they're hatched. But nevertheless, congratulations, Steph Curry and Under Armour, on what looks to be a fantastic lifetime partnership. So that's what I gotta say, my man. My name is BDF44. I'm gonna go drink some water. I'm out.